one and only person who's going to be deciding our futures.
I don't think so.
It's not really a joke, but Sam Altman is literally at the cusp or at the leading edge of things to do with AI, blockchain, the internet, quantum computing, biometric data, and wealth distribution. Everything he's doing has had influence and impact in technological, social, civil, surveillance, economic, military, and educational applications. It's very important that people understand who the person behind OpenAI is and what he wants to do. And just to having an understanding of this is going to be very important in the near future because it's already been decided. He says, a big secret is that you can bend the world to your will a surprising percentage of the time. Most people don't even try. He wrote on his blog, the most successful founders do not set out to create companies. They are on a mission to create something closer to a religion. And at some point, it turns out that forming a company is the easiest way to do so. Altman jokes about being the world's first trillionaire. Someone he knows socially told me. Altman disputes this and asked me include this statement. I do not want to be the world's first trillionaire. Right. I just had to do this is because it's very easy to go over the fact that no one knows him or pretty much most of what he's doing or his team. And it's very, very crucial. So he was at OpenAI and he was also doing other venture capital things. So he's a very capable businessman from what I could gather. So he's considered one of the leading figures in the AI boom. He dropped out of Stanford University after 2 years and founded Looped, a mobile social networking service, raising more than 30 million in VC capital. In 2011, Altman joined Y Combinator, a startup accelerator, and was its president from 2014 to 2019. So he was president of this company which started basically the technological landscape. So we're talking about Airbnb, Coinbase, Cruise, DoorDash, Dropbox, Instacart, Reddit, Stripe, and Twitch. And just to talk about Reddit and Twitch, those are very, very large. Like they're huge. And we're talking about Airbnb and how it's revolutionized the way we live, and Coinbase. So this is some of what he was doing under Y Combinator. And Looped is also very interesting in relation to what he's going to be doing. But this is Sam Altman. By the way, he is married to a man, and this is their wedding. And this is him and his husband at the White House. They were meeting Joe Biden.
Take me to 2035.
I think it's hard to say where all this can go without sounding like a crazy person.
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters.
Welcome to our first ever OpenAI Dev Day.
It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning.
Today, we are launching a new model, GPT-4 Turbo.
And so the machine is taught.
You want these models to be able to access better knowledge about the world. So do we. So we're launching retrieval in the platform. You can bring knowledge from outside documents or databases into whatever you're building.
And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine.
DALL-E 3, GPT-4 Turbo with Vision, and the new text-to-speech model are all going into the API today. Today, we're launching a new program called Custom Models.
That will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in.
GPTs. GPTs are tailored versions of ChatGPT for a specific purpose. And because they combine instructions, expanded knowledge, and actions, they can be more helpful to you. They can work better in many contexts, and they can give you better control. We know that many people who want to build a GPT don't know how to code. We've made it so that you can program a GPT just by having a conversation.
What then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process?
As intelligence gets integrated everywhere, we will all have superpowers on demand. We're excited to see what you all will do with this technology and to discover the new future that we're all going to architect together. We hope that you'll come back next year. What we launched today is going to look very quaint relative to what we're busy creating for you now. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for coming here today.
If only this was all there was to Sam Altman, the story would stop here, but this is where it begins.
So you helped to the creation of OpenAI. You put in as much as $50 million.
More than helped. It wouldn't exist without me.
It wouldn't exist without.
You know, Larry Page did not care about safety and even yelled at me and called me a speciest. He got really the breaking of the friendship was over OpenAI. I came up with a name.
Right.
The name OpenAI refers to open source. So the intent was, what's the okay? So what was the opposite? What's the opposite of Google? Would be an open source nonprofit, because Google is closed sourced for profit, and that profit motivation can be potentially dangerous.
The fundamental issue between Elon Musk and OpenAI is based on the ideology that is shared by the people at Google, namely Larry Page. But it's very important to see and hear what Sam Altman is saying, because he is the one who has so much power in this age. He is the one who is handling ChatGPT and what it does and all of the development. It is important to hear what he says so that we know his goals, his plans, and his intentions, because he has the knowledge and experience to do what he's talking about. As a matter of fact, he's not even going to say the most important thing that he's doing, but the most important thing that he's doing is going to affect everybody, and he knows it. And just listen to what he says, keeping in mind that he's so powerful and he wants to be the world's first trillionaire. Or actually, he doesn't want to be. He totally does not want to be the world's first trillionaire.
Thank you all for sticking around this afternoon. We had some great conversations, and we're hoping to have another great one. It is my pleasure, an honor, a privilege, really, to have this conversation about the future with two gentlemen who know probably more about it than most. The fellow all the way to my right, to your left, does not need any introduction, Elon Musk. You all know from Tesla and SpaceX, of course, from Solar City. Sam Altman, I would say you don't need too much introduction either, but I'm going to give it to you just in case you don't. He runs Y Combinator. Y Combinator has investments in over 1,000 companies at this point. They're investing in about 250 companies every single year. Those companies collectively are worth about $65 billion in total. That's with a B. And to give you just a sort of a sense of the kind of names we're talking about Airbnb, Dropbox, Stripe, Zenefits, Instacart, et cetera. So both folks with an amazing pedigree and an amazing sense of what's going on.
There's a video of Jensen and me unpacking the first AI computer at OpenAI.
We've done AI companies, we've done AI, having AI go in the positive direction, which I really think it can. And I think thinking about sort of genetic technology.
Genetic technology.
Getting the cost of sustainable energy down super low is probably, short of friendly AI, like the most important thing we can do for sort of quality of life of the poorest half of the world. I think that every time I look into this, it's really amazing how much the cost of energy and the quality of life correlate.
We get to AI in this whole conversation.
Yeah, I think, look, there is a really positive vision here, right? I think the science fiction version is either that we enslave it or it enslaves us, but there's this happy symbiotic vision, which I don't think is the default case, but what we should work towards. I think already humans and AI are co-evolving, and no one's paid attention to this yet. But I don't think there's any human left that understands all of how Google search results are ranked on that first page. It really is machine learning algorithms. So when we search on Google, it's an AI deciding what we should see. When a dating site matches two people together, there's a machine learning algorithm that no human understands how it works, that is getting people together that then have babies. And so in effect, you have this like machine learning algorithm breeding humans. And so really, I mean, you do. And so there's this, and then those people like work on the algorithms later. And so I think the happy vision of the future is sort of humans and AI in a symbiotic relationship, distributed AI where it sort of empowers a lot of different individuals, not this single AI that kind of governs everything that we all do that's a million times smarter, a billion times smarter than any other entity. So I think that's what we should work towards.
So Elon Musk and Sam Altman used to be bros like this. They used to hang out. They had this mentor-mentee relationship. But OpenAI came between them.
There was a whole other series of headlines at OpenAI. What did you think?
Well,
you founded it, co-founded it.
Co-founded it, yeah. And then I also think it's important to understand like when push comes to shove, let's say they do create some digital superintelligence, almost godlike intelligence. Well, who's in control?
Yeah.
And what exactly is the relationship between OpenAI and Microsoft? And I do worry that Microsoft actually may be more in control than, say, the leadership team at OpenAI realizes. I mean, Microsoft, as part of the Microsoft investment, they have rights to all of the software, all of the model weights, and everything necessary to run the inference system.
So they essentially have a great deal of control.
At any point, Microsoft could cut off OpenAI.
I've been covering this industry a long time, and there is always some new thing that big tech is chasing. First it was self-driving cars, and then it was the metaverse, and now everyone is all in on AI. There's one big tech giant that's made it clear it's not missing out. So, welcome to Microsoft headquarters in Redmond, Washington, where they have made a massive investment in OpenAI. They are already off to the races integrating this new technology, but winning is a totally different story.
Hey everybody, we're back with Bill Gates.
But I would still be a billionaire.
If you got 99% of your money, you'd still be a multi-billionaire.
No. And if you get rid of 99%, I'd have 1.3 billion.
Do you think I would enjoy being a billionaire?
Yes.
You think? So a lot of people these days are concerned about the rise of AI. Does it frighten you? Does it worry you, AI?
Somewhat. It's the first technology that has no limit. I mean, when you invent a tractor or even a cell phone, you kind of figure out, okay, we can figure out how that's going to change life. Here, where the AI is very intelligent, and when you put it in robotic form, it can do a lot of both blue-collar and white-collar jobs. The fact that's happening over the next decade, the idea of, do we really trust government to adjust the tax policies and make sure that, okay, we're shortening the work week? So it's happening very fast, and it's unlimited.
Almost everybody I know who's an expert on AI believes that they will exceed human intelligence. It's just a question of when. In between 5 and 20 years from now, there's a probability of about a half that will have to confront the problem of them trying to take over.
Larry and Paige and I used to be very close friends, and I would stay at his house, and I would talk to Larry into the late hours of the night about AI safety. And it became apparent to me that Larry did not care about AI safety.
Geoffrey Hinton used to work at Google, and he is known as the godfather of AI.
So in particular, they're beginning to take the existential threat seriously, that these things will get smarter than us, and we have to worry about whether they'll want to take control away from us. That's something we should think seriously about, and people now take that seriously. A few years ago, they thought it was just science fiction.
And from your perspective, from having worked at the top of this, having developed some of the theories underpinning all of this explosion in AI that we're seeing, that existential threat is real?
Yes. So some people think these things don't really understand. They're very different from us. They're just using some statistical tricks. That's not the case. These big language models, for example, the early ones were developed as a theory of how the brain understands language. They're the best theory we've currently got of how the brain understands language. We don't understand either how they work or how the brain works in detail, but we think probably they work in fairly similar ways.
I think perhaps the thing that gave it away was when he called me a speciest for being pro-humanity.
Let's go back to AI, if you don't mind. So you were involved in the project that Sam Altman runs now, OpenAI?
I was one of the principal co-founders of OpenAI. In fact, I named it.
Yeah. So what the hell happened?
It was my idea.
What happened?
Well, I started off. The origins of OpenAI are that I was very close with Larry Page, who's one of my best friends.
Technology executive Larry Ellison is America's third richest man. His company, Oracle, makes a widely used database. It handles everything from online banking to airline reservations. It is even used by NSA. But Oracle is in a legal battle with Google, accusing the online search giant of using its programming language without permission. I sat down with Ellison last week at his vast compound south of San Francisco. We spoke about many things, including Google founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin.
I think most of the guys, the only guys I have trouble with are the Google guys.
Really? So Larry and Sergey you have trouble with?
Larry specifically. I think...
Larry per se?
Yeah, Larry per se.
Why?
Because he makes the decisions over there. He runs that company. No one else runs that company. And they decided, let me be very clear, when you write a program for the Android phone, you write it, you use the Oracle tool or Oracle Java tools for everything. And at the very end, you press a button and said, convert this to Android format. We don't compete with Google. We don't do anything Google does. No. We just think they took our stuff and that was wrong. That's a completely separate issue.
But I mean, you think they're evil?
I think what they did was absolutely evil.
And you blame Larry Page?
100% Larry Page.
And so I would have these conversations with Larry Page long into the night about AI safety. And I just grew increasingly concerned that Larry was not sufficiently concerned about AI safety. And at one point, he did call me a speciest.
Yes, you are one.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's, I guess, correctly labeled.
Yes.
And
it's kind of like
he fully admits there were other people around when he did that, and nor does he attempt to deny it. That I'm a speciest in favor of humans instead of
as
machines.
Lice compared to lice, for example.
Well, no, more like relative to digital intelligence.
Oh, yeah, that's even worse.
His view is that we'll all be essentially upload our minds to computers, and then humans, there won't really be a need for humans. And I thought that was, I was like, what team are you on, Larry?
Hard on the humans there.
Right. What team are you on? And I said, we really need to make sure humanity thrives and grows. And then he called me a speciest for saying that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I guess I am, pro-human. What are you?
Right. That's the question.
Yeah.
If you're not pro-human, that's not nothing.
I've done some digging into this story that Elon Musk keeps talking about. So it's actually a very interesting story, and this is the article. Ego, Fear and Money, How the AI Fuse Was Lit. 2024, it's published December 2023. So Elon Musk celebrated his 44th birthday in July 2015. At a 3-day party thrown by his wife at a California wine country resort, started with cabins. So this actually happened at Elon Musk's birthday. Interesting. It was family and friends only, with children racing around the upscale property in Napa Valley. This was years before Twitter became X and Tesla had a profitable year. Mr. Musk and his wife, Tyler Rayleigh, an actress who played a beautiful but dangerous robot in HBO's sci-fi fiction series Westworld, were a year from throwing in their towel on their second marriage. Elon Musk is something else. But HBO is also about, this show, Westworld, it's actually about AI, interestingly enough. Larry Page, a party guest, was still the chief executive of Google, and AI had pierced the public consciousness only a few years before, when it was used to identify cats on YouTube with 16% accuracy. AI was the big topic of conversation when Mr. Musk and Mr. Page sat down near a fire pit beside the swimming pool after dinner at the first night. The two billionaires had been friends for more than a decade, and Mr. Musk sometimes joked that he occasionally crashed Mr. Page's sofa after a night playing video games. But the tone that clear night soon turned contentious as the two debated whether artificial intelligence would ultimately elevate humanity or destroy it. As the discussion stretched into the chilly hours, it grew intense, and some of the more than 30 partiers gathered closer to listen. Mr. Page, hampered for more than a decade by an unusual ailment in his vocal cords, described his vision of a digital utopia in a whisper. This was his vision. This is important. Humans would eventually merge with artificially intelligent machines, he said. One day, there would be many kinds of intelligence competing for resources, and the best would win. Wow. Wow. This is very important because now we're talking about resources. Okay, we're going to go deeper into this topic. This is why I'm saying people are not paying attention to what's happening. All right. And then, if that happens, Mr. Musk said, we're doomed. The machines will destroy humanity. With a rasp of frustration, Mr. Page insisted his utopia should be pursued. Finally, he called Mr. Musk a speciest, a person who favors humans over the digital life forms of the future. That insult, Mr. Musk said later, was the last straw. This conversation triggered the AI boom, triggered the AI chain reaction. And this is not even the end of it. This is how it starts. This is how OpenAI is birthed. This is where everything got its momentum, from this one conversation, and everything else came to be. This is how humanity lives or dies, based on this conversation.
What do you think of Sam Altman?
I have mixed feelings about Sam. I do, the ring of power, can corrupt. And this is the ring of power. So, I don't know.
I think even you would acknowledge you have an incredible amount of power at this moment in time. Why should we trust you?
You shouldn't.
Your 7 decades here on Earth, where do you put AI?
Rebecca, we are in for the ride of our lives. Well, I have to say, I had no encounter with AI until my first conversation with Sam Altman. Just take me to 2035.
I think it's hard to say where all this can go without sounding like a crazy person.
When I sit with you, you're so calm, you're so relatable, it seems like everything's okay. Is that how you really feel?
I don't want to give a false sense of security here.
Does he really look calm, relatable, and as if everything's okay?
I want to give a false sense of security here.
Why should we trust you?
You shouldn't.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence.
At the center of a potentially tectonic shift in job creation is Sam Altman. He's promised that AI will create a kind of utopia when it joins the workforce, while also raising alarms about the dangers, signing his name to statements warning of the risk of extinction. For many, the upsides of AI are hard to believe. The fear that AI could take their jobs in part led to the prolonged writers and actors strike in Hollywood.
ChatGPT is a moron type of system, chronic type of system. Doesn't really write great stories.
Over the summer, Altman traveled the world to talk about the promise and peril of AI.
So from this point on, you just need to listen very closely and just get to see what's going on.
We ended up meeting like many world leaders and talked about the sort of the need for global regulation, and that, I hope it's clear that's a joke.
It's clear it's a joke. Could you actually turn it off if you wanted to?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we could like shut down our data centers or whatever, but I don't.
How would you describe your relationship with Satya Nadella? How much control they have? You know, I've heard people say, you know, Microsoft's just going to buy OpenAI. You're just making big tech bigger.
Company's not for sale. Like, before it.
Have you talked to Elon at all behind the scenes?
Sometimes.
Do you think in your heart of hearts that the world is going to be more fair and more equitable?
I do. I think that technology is fundamentally an equalizing force.
Do you think in your heart of hearts that the world is going to be more fair and more equitable?
I do. I think that technology is fundamentally
Don't be
an
too
equalizing
quick
force.
to trust them, because there's some knowledgeable people who disagree with them. Let's hear what Geoffrey Hinton and Ray Dalio have to say.
What sort of society do you see evolving? Which jobs will still be here?
Yes, I'm very worried about AI taking over lots of mundane jobs, and that should be a good thing. It's going to lead to a big increase in productivity, which leads to a big increase in wealth. And if that wealth was equally distributed, that would be great. But it's not going to be. In the systems we live in, that wealth is going to go to the rich and not to the people whose jobs get lost. And that's going to be very bad for society, I believe. So it's going to increase the gap between rich and poor, which increases the chances of right-wing populists getting elected.
The machines and the automation will probably do it better. And that's accelerating, and that's a force. And that's a force for the good. And at the same time, what it does is it displaces people in terms of employment and changes, and it produces wealth gaps and all of that. So I think the real issue is that has to be viewed as a national emergency. And before I get right into my thoughts on universal basic income, I want to start with the notion that opportunity, education, development, creating equality, so that people say there's equal opportunity.
Okay, and let's continue to hear what Sam Altman's saying.
But if we can, my big picture, highest level, I'll zoom all the way out, view of the next decade, is that the cost of intelligence and the cost of energy come way, way down. And if those two things happen, it helps everyone, which is great. But I think it lifts up the floor a lot. But we're pretty happy with our contribution. We think we have nudged the field in a way that we're proud of. So we're working on new things too.
What are the new things?
They're still in progress. Working on new things too.
What are the new things?
They're still in progress.
For sure, he's working on some new things, and they're top secret.
I also think this is unstoppable. This is the progress of technology. It won't work to stop it, and so we have to figure out how to manage the risk. We were formed as a company in large part because of this risk and the need to address it. We have an unusual structure. We have a capped profit. I believe that incentives are superpowers, and if you design the incentives right, you usually get the behavior you want. So, we're gonna all do fine. We're not gonna make any more or less money if we make the numbers go a little further up.
Sam, here.
This is gonna be the very, very last question.
Here up.
And I'm so happy they got this question. So just watch the response and just watch the body language. This is important.
And my question is about your future plans and the WorldCoin project, the orb system.